I've always liked working the night shift. Less noise, fewer people, and most of all, no managers breathing down my neck. Just me, a flashlight, and miles of quiet in the storage warehouse. I've been doing security for nearly 10 years now, and nothing ever happened. Until last night. The warehouse is a massive concrete skeleton at the edge of town. Rows upon rows of forgotten crates and shipping containers stacked like tombstones. The lights don't reach every corner, so I carried an old but reliable flashlight clipped to my belt. My shift started at 10 o'clock p.m. and ended at 6 a.m. Easy money, or so I thought. At around midnight, I was making my second round through Sector D, where the really old stuff was stored. We're talking dusty crates with faded labels, things nobody's claimed in years. That's when I heard it, a thump. Just one, not loud, but unmistakable. I stopped walking, held my breath, and listened. Nothing. Probably just a rat, I told myself. Happens all the time. I resumed walking. Another thump, closer this time, like something or someone was following me. I spun around, shining my flashlight into the dark. Empty rows of crates stared back at me. The silence now felt thick, like the air was holding its breath. Then the radio on my hip crackled. "Mark, you there?" It was Daniel, the other night guard. We alternated sectors to cover more ground. "I'm here," I said, pressing the button. "You hear anything in Sector D?" There was a pause. "You're in D. I thought I saw movement in the camera feed just now. Looked like a person, maybe. Could have been a glitch." My stomach turned. "Where exactly?" "Row 17, by the fire exit." I was only 2 rows away. I whispered back, "I'll check it out." As I approached row 17, the temperature seemed to drop. My breath puffed out in white clouds, even though it was a warm night. That didn't make sense. None of it did. I reached the fire exit door. It was locked, as it should be. But right beside it, a crate had been broken open. Wood splinters lay scattered, like someone had clawed their way out from the inside. That's when the smell hit me. Rotten meat and sulfur. I backed away slowly. "Daniel, something's wrong. I found an opened crate. Smells like a dead animal, or worse." Silence. "Daniel?" Only static. Suddenly, the lights in Sector D flickered, then died entirely, plunging me into darkness. My flashlight beam looked weak against the pitch black. My skin crawled. Then, from the far end of the row, I heard it. A dragging sound. Something heavy scraping against the concrete floor. My heart pounded in my chest as I backed toward the main corridor. I wasn't being paid enough to deal with this. Then I saw it. At first, just a shape in the dark. Tall, thin, and twitching like it didn't know how to stand upright. Its head jerked from side to side, and its arms were too long, far too long. "Who's there?" I asked, more out of panic than courage. It didn't answer. Instead, it smiled. Not a normal smile, but one that stretched ear to ear, literally. A slit of teeth glimmered under my flashlight beam. Too many teeth for a human mouth. I ran. I don't even remember choosing a direction. I just turned and sprinted down the corridor, past towers of crates, tripping and cursing, trying not to scream. My radio crackled again. "Mark, it's in here with me." "Daniel, where are you?" I shouted into the radio. Before he could respond, a high-pitched screech pierced the air, sharp and metallic, like the sound of a pig being slaughtered with a violin string. Then, nothing. I turned a corner and slammed into something. A person. It was Daniel, or what was left of him. His eyes were wide, frozen in terror. His mouth hung open, but no sound came out. His chest moved, barely. He was alive, but something had torn into him. Long slashes crisscrossed his uniform, and his face was pale as death. "Mark," he gasped, "don't let it touch you." Then his body went limp. I stumbled back, unsure what to do. Then I heard it again, the dragging, closer now. I left him. I had no choice. I bolted for the security office, slamming the door behind me and locking it. My hands shook as I grabbed the monitor feed. Most of the cameras were static or black, but one still worked, Sector D. I watched in horror as the creature skittered across the floor, limbs bending at impossible angles. It stopped beside Daniel's body. Then it looked right into the camera. It knew. The screen went dark. I tried the phone, no signal. Tried the emergency line, dead. Then came the scratching at the door. Long, slow scratches like claws against metal. I backed away, flashlight aimed at the door. "Go away," I whispered. "Please." It stopped. Silence. Then a whisper from the other side of the door, in a voice that sounded like mine. "Mark, open the door." I didn't. I sat there all night, flashlight trembling in my grip, watching the door, listening to it mimic the voices of people I knew. My mother, my sister, Daniel. It kept calling over and over again. The sun finally came up. At 6:02 a.m., the lights flickered back on. I unlocked the door slowly, step by step, ready to run. But the hallway was empty. No blood, no Daniel, no scratches on the door. I quit that day, told them I wouldn't be back, ever. They said Daniel never clocked in, that he'd called off sick. But I know what I saw. And every night since then, I hear the scratching, even in my apartment. Sometimes I wake up to whispers outside my bedroom door, in my own voice. It followed me home. People always say the night shift is the quiet one, peaceful, easy. But whoever said that never worked alone in an empty office building with flickering lights and air vents that talk back. I work security in a high-rise office downtown. It's a modern building, sleek, polished, and cold. My job? Walk the halls, check the locks, monitor the cameras. Rinse and repeat until the sun comes up. I've done it for a year now. Nothing strange. Until last Friday. That night, everything felt off. From the moment I stepped in at 11 p.m., I sensed something was wrong. The lobby lights were dimmer than usual, humming like they were tired of glowing. My radio buzzed with static, and the elevators took longer than usual to respond. When I reached the control room on the 14th floor, the monitors flickered. Nothing unusual, just empty offices. But something on camera 4 caught my eye. A chair rolling slowly across the floor on its own. I stared at it for a minute, waiting for someone to appear. No one did. I grabbed my flashlight and went to check it out. The 14th floor was colder than the others. My boots echoed down the empty hall. I passed cubicles bathed in bluish moonlight filtering through tall windows. Everything was still. When I reached the room from camera 4, the chair was there, stopped in the middle of the floor. I walked around it. No draft, no slope, no explanation. I shrugged it off and turned to leave, but then I heard it. A whisper coming from the air vent. I froze. It was faint, but I could swear it said something. Help. I leaned closer, my ear just inches from the metal grate. The whisper came again. Let me out. My blood ran cold. I ripped open the vent cover with a screwdriver from my belt and shined my flashlight inside. Nothing but darkness and dust. I crawled a bit closer, pushing my head slightly into the duct to look deeper. Nothing. Just as I was about to pull back, I heard it again, right in my ear. I see you. I fell back, heart racing, flashlight clattering to the floor. I scrambled to my feet, slammed the vent shut, and backed away. I left the room without looking back. Back in the control room, I replayed the camera footage. There was no audio, but I saw something I hadn't noticed before. In the footage, just before the chair moved, the vent cover in that room slowly opened on its own. Not fast, just enough for a shadow to slither out and disappear under the desk. I checked the time code, 12:06 a.m. It was now 12:11. I switched through the feeds looking for movement. Camera 8, hallway near the stairwell, caught a glimpse of something. A figure. Tall, thin, barely human. Its body seemed to flicker like static. It stood in the hallway, facing the camera. Then it moved, quickly, toward the camera. The screen cut to black. That hallway was 2 floors below me. I locked the control room door. I called my supervisor. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. I even tried 911, but the call wouldn't go through. Just static. That's when I noticed something strange. The vents in the control room were making noise. Not just whispers, movement. I could hear crawling, scraping, like something was inside them, circling me. I backed into the corner, flashlight aimed at the main vent. My hands were shaking. Then something dropped from the vent. Not all the way, just a hand. A long, pale hand with blackened fingernails and too many joints. It gripped the edge of the vent and slowly pulled something forward. I ran. I didn't stop until I was in the stairwell. I bolted down the steps, passing floor after floor, hearing vents rattle and creak above me. I didn't care. I just wanted out. When I reached the lobby, the front doors were locked from the outside. Impossible. The lights began to flicker violently.
Shadows danced across the walls. Then I heard the voice again, this time over the intercom. "Come back." Every speaker on every floor began repeating it over and over. "Come back, come back, come back." I backed into the glass, looking around for anything, an emergency exit, a fire axe, something. Then I saw the reflection behind me. Not mine. Its. It was tall, head tilted, smiling with no lips, just a mouth carved too wide into its face. Its eyes were black pits. Its body was thin and twisted, like someone had stuffed it through too many cracks. I turned around, but nothing was there. The intercoms went silent. Then a whisper right behind me. "You already let me in." I blacked out. When I woke up, it was daylight. The front doors were open, and people were walking in like nothing had happened. No blood, no body, just silence. I checked the security footage with my supervisor that morning. Everything was gone. All feeds erased between midnight and 6 a.m. No one believes me. But I know what I heard. And every night since, when I lay in bed, I hear the vents rattle and the whisper that always follows. "You already let me in."
They never told me why they shut down the hospital, just that it had been abandoned for 10 years, and now the city wanted it watched until demolition. Easy money, they said. Just monitor the place during the night shift. 1 week. No visitors, no risks. I wish I had said no. My name's Adam. I'm a security guard. I've worked night shifts at malls, construction sites, even cemeteries. I've seen raccoons, drunk teenagers, even a guy trying to steal a toilet. Nothing scared me. Until I stepped into St. Elora Memorial Hospital. It reeked of mold and something older, something like rot and time. The walls were yellowed, peeling. The lights didn't work on every floor. My flashlight became my best friend. On the second night, I started hearing doors closing, just soft clicks echoing down the long halls. I told myself it was air pressure, or maybe the old building settling. But the next night, I heard footsteps. I followed them to the 3rd floor. My boots thudded on the cracked tiles. My breath fogged in the freezing hallway. Room after room sat empty, beds rusted, curtains eaten by moths. Then I found it. Room 313. The door was shut, unlike the others. On the door was a sign, long faded, "Do not enter." Naturally, I entered. The air changed the moment I crossed the threshold. Colder, heavier. The room was intact. A single hospital bed, a heart monitor unplugged, and in the far corner, a wheelchair facing the wall. I checked my list. No furniture was supposed to remain, especially not this intact. Suddenly, the wheelchair creaked. I froze. Then it turned, slowly, as if someone invisible were sitting in it. I backed away. "Who's there?" I shouted. No answer. I turned to leave and found the door closed. I hadn't touched it. When I reached for the handle, I heard something behind me. Breathing.
slow rattling just behind my ear. I turned around. The room was empty, but the wheelchair was now facing me. I don't remember running, but I ended up back in the security room, heart pounding. I stared at the monitors, hands shaking. Camera feed for the third floor was static. All of it, except one. Room 313. It was dark, but something moved inside. A figure, thin, in a hospital gown, standing perfectly still by the bed. I turned away, told myself it was a glitch. But I didn't sleep that day. On the fourth night, I tried to avoid the third floor. But around 2:17 a.m., the intercom system crackled to life. Room 313, code blue. The system wasn't even connected anymore. I climbed the stairs against every instinct in my body. The hallway was pitch black. When I reached 313, the door was open. Inside, the bed was occupied. A patient. No, something shaped like a patient, under a white sheet, still unmoving. I stepped in. The door slammed shut behind me. And then the sheet rose, like something underneath it had just sat up. I couldn't move. My flashlight flickered. I stared, mouth dry, as the thing under the sheet slowly turned toward me.
Its face was hidden, but I could see its eyes through the thin fabric. Black. Empty. And then it whispered, "You shouldn't be here." I screamed, ran. This time I didn't stop. I called my supervisor, begged him to pull me out. He told me to finish the week or lose the job. So I went back the next night. I told myself I'd stay in the security room and ignore everything. But the cameras didn't let me. Room 313 was wide open. The figure stood in the hallway now, staring at the lens. Then it walked down the hall, past each camera, toward the stairwell, toward me. Every monitor flicked off one by one as it passed, until only one was left. The lobby feed. I watched in horror as the automatic doors slowly opened, and the figure walked into the building I was in. I grabbed my flashlight and ran to the exit, keys in hand. But the doors were locked. Not jammed, locked from the outside. The air turned cold. Lights flickered. Then I heard it. The wheelchair rolling behind me. I turned. Empty hallway. Then a whisper from the speaker above me. "You're already in room 313. That's when I noticed. The hallway around me wasn't the lobby anymore. It was the third floor. The floor had changed. The walls were yellow, the doors rusted. I ran. Every direction led me back to the same hallway. And then I saw them. Dozens of patients, all in hospital gowns, standing silently in the rooms, watching me. Faces blurred, eyes dark. Some had no faces at all. Room 313's door opened slowly. A nurse stood inside, or what used to be a nurse. Her mouth was sewn shut. She pointed to the bed. I didn't obey.
I collapsed to the floor. Then, darkness. I woke up outside the hospital just before dawn, alone, keys still in my pocket, my flashlight in hand. My supervisor said I left my post. He fired me. But I still see room 313 in dreams, in reflections, and sometimes in real life on buildings that shouldn't even have that room, because they told me no such room ever existed in St. Elora. But I remember, and it remembers me.
My name is Darren Cole. For the last 8 years, I've worked as a night watchman at the Hillcrest Industrial Complex. It's one of those massive, rusting skeletons of an old manufacturing site, long abandoned except for a few warehouses still in operation. The job's always been quiet. I sign in at 10 p.m., make rounds every hour, fill in the logbook, and stay awake until 6 a.m. The cameras rarely show anything, and the only sound I usually hear is the wind whistling through broken window panes. But last Friday, something changed. 10:15 p.m. I started my shift like usual. I poured some stale coffee, sat in the control room, and checked the monitors. The night was cold and silent. The security cameras showed nothing unusual, except one thing. Camera 7, which pointed down the long hallway of Warehouse C, had static lines running across it. That warehouse hasn't been used in years. I made a mental note to check it during my first round. 11 p.m. Flashlight in hand, I stepped into the icy corridors of Hillcrest. The buildings loomed like dark tombs. My boots echoed on concrete. I headed to Warehouse C. The camera feed was fuzzy but active, which meant power was still flowing to that section. Odd. I unlocked the heavy iron door. It creaked open like something out of a horror movie. My flashlight flickered for a second, but stayed on. I swept the beam across rusted shelves and dust-covered crates. Then I noticed something that made my stomach turn. There were fresh footprints in the dust, barefoot, small, like a child's. I followed them through the maze of crates, heart pounding. They led to a metal door labeled electrical and stopped right in front of it. I reached for the handle. It was warm. But as soon as I touched it, my flashlight died. Total darkness. A faint sound rose from behind the door. A kind of whispering. Dozens of voices murmuring at once. I turned and ran. Back in the control room, I locked the door behind me and tried to calm down. My flashlight wouldn't turn back on. I checked the monitors again. Camera 7 was still glitching, but now it was showing something. A shape, pale, thin, standing in the middle of Warehouse C, facing the camera, unmoving. I stared, frozen. Then it lifted its hand and waved. 1 a.m. I should have left, called someone, but fear froze me in place. Something about this didn't feel human. The radios were crackling, the monitors glitching. Every once in a while, I'd hear what sounded like breathing right behind me, only to turn and find nothing. I reviewed the logs. Nothing like this had ever been recorded before. Then I noticed something chilling.
The last page of the logbook, the one I was supposed to fill in, was already written on, not by me. It said in shaky handwriting, "Don't open the door again." 2 a.m. I checked the monitors again. Camera 7 now showed 2 figures. One was tall and still. The other was smaller, crawling on all fours. Both were looking directly at the camera. I muted the audio feed, but static broke through. Whispers. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew they were speaking to me. Suddenly, every monitor went black. Then a single camera feed turned back on. The control room. And on the screen, I saw myself, sitting exactly where I was. Only behind me, in the frame, something slowly emerged from the shadows. I turned around. Nothing there. 3:13 a.m. I don't know why I'm still here. The exits won't open. My phone is dead. The monitors now loop the same image. The hallway of Warehouse C with the door to the electrical room wide open. And the footprints? They're now outside the room, coming toward the camera. I think I'm next. I've written everything here in case I don't make it out. If someone finds this logbook, don't open the door. Don't wave back. Don't listen to the whispers. Some doors were never meant to be opened.